guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Very excited to share with you guys my reading wrap-up. Basically just all the books I read in January, which I'm very impressed with myself. I read 7 books. Only one of them I started in 2024. 2 of them I started in 2024. The rest were all fresh books that I picked up in January, so I'm very impressed with myself. But February's off to a bit slower of a pace, but we've got time to bring it back. We can bring it back. I've got a very exciting video planned for February. Perhaps a reading only romance books for a week video, as right when I'm filming this is the week of Valentine's Day, and I thought what a perfect time to actually do that. So if you guys are ready, we can move on to actually discussing all of the books that I read in January. So let's go. The first book I read was a continuation of a book that I started last year but finally finished. It was Orbital by Samantha Harvey. It took me a while to really gain my feelings about the book. I really did like it. I really think my takeaway was that I had a very positive experience reading it. I think I said in my review, she has such a way with words. Her sentences, her phrases, just the way she writes is just entrancing. It was absolutely wonderful. But it is just one of those books where nothing happens, which is something that I do like. But it was very extreme. Nothing happens, especially for a subject that I'm not super interested in. I think space is very cool. I think concepts of being an astronaut is very cool. I saw one of the last spaceship launches at Cape Canaveral in Florida. I got to witness it, which was so cool. But it's just not something that really draws me in. I just kind of happened upon it because I was wanting to get into more of the Booker Prize nominees, and then it ended up being the Booker Prize winner, which was very cool, which I didn't know going into it. So maybe did I predict it? I don't know. But I just did want to kind of give that a feel because I don't think I've read any other Booker Prize winners. Maybe technically The Vegetarian by Han Kang. I think that won the Booker, or the International Booker. So, but I wanted to get into the habit of reading a bit more of those Booker Prize nominations. So I did end up giving it a read. But as I said, it was very nothing happens, which I can appreciate because it was about kind of cherishing the mundane that we have as humans. And that's what makes us humans. And them being so far away and being so aware of humanity and almost like mortality, and it was very beautiful. It just wasn't the book for me at the time, and that really impacted the way I viewed it. But I gave it a 3.5 or 3.75. I think I have it sat at a 4 on my Goodreads, just because I thought it was very unfair to put it in a 3. But I also I'm not sold on it being a 4 is basically where I'm at. But the next book that I did read was Butcher and Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. Basically just a fun romance. I had a fun time with this book. It's such an interesting, such a fun topic. I used to be very into Criminal Minds vibe, but I really liked the idea of them both being serial killers, but in a kind of vigilante serial killer way. I think the first half really dragged. It took me ages to read the first half. I appreciated the setup, and I thought it was really good that Brynne Weaver did all that setup, because then everything felt valid in why it was happening. It felt motivated rather than just being unearned, but everything felt earned in their relationship, which I really appreciate. But yeah, the last 50% absolutely flew by. I didn't expect the twist kind of thing at all right at the end. I was very shocked by that. I think I probably will read the second one, give it a go, see how I like it. I gave it 3 stars. It did the job that it had to do. I enjoyed it a lot, but I had some other books coming up that I liked a lot more, so perfect. We will move on to my third book. My first short story collection was Eliza Clark's She's Always Hungry. I am such a huge fan of Eliza Clark. I absolutely loved Boy Parts. I haven't read Penance yet. I just haven't gotten around to it. I weirdly sometimes get a mental block about books that I know I'll love, but She's Always Hungry So my first short story collection, I had a really weird mental block around short story collections. I don't know if it was that I thought I wouldn't like them because I felt like they couldn't, like characters couldn't develop, story couldn't develop in such a short kind of frame, even though one of the kind of stories that I remember really having an effect on me is Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, which is a short story, but I wasn't sure how I'd feel about a collection. I was worried I wouldn't think it was cohesive. I had all these kind of mental blocks about it. But then I finally read this one because I was like, I can't not read something Eliza Clark puts out. I'm obsessed with her. So I read it. Blew me away. 5 stars. The review might change, the rating might change when I read more short story collections, but as of right now, it is absolutely sitting at a 5-star. I loved so many of these. The titular, She's Always Hungry, was unreal. Oh my gosh, it was so good. The kind of like world building and the how vivid everything is and how much story she can tell is unreal. I also really loved Extinction Event, which I feel like I haven't seen people talk about, or Company Man. I think those are my top 3. I really liked Build a Body Like Mine as well though, and I thought The Shadow Over Chidley was also very funny. It's just such a varied collection that also makes so much sense together. She's so talented. I cannot wait to see what she does next. And I will read Penance this year, I promise. And then the next book I read was The Inseparables by Simone de Beauvoir. I do believe I started this last year as well, but then, no, I started it right at the beginning of January, and then I kind of put it down and then came back to it kind of mid-January. This was so beautiful. I really wasn't expecting to kind of feel with this book as much as I did. I don't know if I mentioned this was 5 stars. I think I did. But I really wasn't expecting to feel as much as I did in it and to connect to the characters as much as I did. It's so incredible to me that Simone de Beauvoir could come from such a different time and place as me and be able to write such, like just write young women that I relate so heavily to and see myself and see my friends and see my friendships and relationships in. It was really, really beautiful. I was completely shocked by the ending. I don't know how I didn't see it coming. It was, oh my gosh, it was so good. Fantastic. I gave it 4.5 stars just because it took me a while to get into it. I just wasn't connecting right at the beginning, but as soon as I did, I flew through the kind of back, like 3/4 of it. But yeah, I just loved the writing. Like, oh my gosh, this is like my favorite quote. I'm gonna read it to you. But she was still enormously important to me, but now the rest of the world was opening up to me. She was no longer everything. I think it's so beautiful. The kind of very often all-consuming, super intense female friendships you can get. I think especially in queer women, we see that a lot. But just in general, I think a lot of the times teen girls were very intense creatures. I remember being very intense when I was a teenager. But, you know, everything, your life is kind of redefining itself and you're kind of relearning everything almost. This was such a beautiful story. I absolutely loved it. 4.5 stars. So, so good. And then this one I also don't have because I basically immediately lended it to my friend because she didn't read my Goodreads review because I did mark it as spoilers just in case, but I think she saw some of my Goodreads updates and I had already recommended it to her. I recommended it to her before because I had friends recommending it to me and I knew that it was exactly her vibe from the little that I knew about it. So she still has it. She just finished it. I'm very excited to chat to her about it in the next coming days. But it was I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. What can I possibly say about this book other than it was a work of art? I don't want to say too much just because I went in knowing surprisingly nothing, despite how much I talked about it with my friends before. And I was just blown away. Jacqueline Hartman, what a writer. I'm so glad it kind of got republished and re-put back into the kind of like the reading space and people are really reading it and appreciating it and talking about it. I see so many people talking about it and as it deserves. It's so, so good. Oh my gosh, like Oh my god, sorry, I just read my Goodreads review. I have my Goodreads open over here and I almost like, I got choked up looking at it. It's a 5-star. I finished it in the kind of bar on campus just because it was like a cold day and we, my boyfriend and I wanted to get out of the house and just like be around people because it was before our term started, so we were kind of like trapped revising all the time. And it was the last like 20 pages of the book that I was reading and I was just crying in this bar, just like sobbing while these like guys playing like just behind me are playing darts, and I was like, this is such a weird environment to be reading this, but this is so beautiful. It was so good. I highly recommend it. Even if you're not a big fan of like sci-fi, it's genre defying. It's so good. I highly recommend that. That is one that I would recommend to anyone. I think as much as I'd love to recommend She's Always Hungry to everyone, I think she's a bit too weird. She's a bit polarizing. I love her to bits, but she's a bit polarizing. The next book that I finished was something that I've been talking about reading for so long, and I felt so out of the loop before I read it, was The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I really enjoyed this. As someone who has never really read crime, this was very good. This was very fun. Or mystery. I haven't even read mystery. I haven't even read Agatha Christie. I really haven't delved into this genre at all. So this was a very fun first entry into the genre. I will say there was some bits of it that I felt like he almost left too much out, where when it was kind of being like retroactively explained, it felt like I had almost missed a page or two, which I didn't because I went back and checked. And I don't know if that's just his writing style or if it's him kind of like finding his footing or whatever you want to say in the sort of writing. And just because I can imagine it would be very difficult. But this was very good still. I do believe I gave it a 4-star, maybe like a 3.75. 4.25 is kind of where I landed, but it was very good. I really did enjoy it. And then the last book that I read in January was You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry, or as the American title says, People We Meet on Vacation. This was the last Emily Henry book that I had to read. I feel like maybe I read them in the wrong order just based on people's opinions of People We Meet on Vacation. I did like it more than I worried that I would. I worried that I would not like it based on other people, which is what made me kind of put it off for so long, because I was like, oh, I know people don't like it. I don't want like this to ruin my view of Emily Henry, because in my eyes, she will always be the queen of romance. No one will ever top her. She is she cannot be put into words how much I love her. It cannot be put into words. But it probably is in my book lovers tier. I basically think it's kind of book lovers, People We Meet on Vacation, and then it's Happy Place and Funny Story, and then it's Beach Read at the top. Beach Read will never be topped for me. It is simply like it was one of the books that got me back into reading. I have such like an emotional connection to it. I got the special edition when it came out. I absolutely love it. Am I gonna get the special edition of People We Meet on Vacation? Probably, because it'll match and it'll be adorable. But anyway, I really did enjoy People We Meet on Vacation. It was very fun, like low stakes, another like kind of chill refresh, because at that point I had cried at the last like 4 books I read, which was like I Who Have Never Known Men, The Inseparables, Thursday Murder Club, and then like I think I even cried during People We Meet on Vacation as well. So didn't really choose my book wisely. But it did its job. It was fun to read. It was a fun time the whole way through. I really liked the characters. I just wasn't sure if like the motivations and the actual like choices they were making felt like motivated. I don't know. It didn't feel, a lot of what they didn't feel very in character for me. And I don't know, I just felt a bit disconnected to the actual story. But I'm very excited to see it as a film. I think that'll be very fun. That was the last book I read in January. I did start On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong in January, but I finished it in February, so it will not be in this video. But just know I have a lot of thoughts about it. I'm gonna try to summarize them at some point and tell you guys about it. So I've only just realized that I forgot to film an outro for this, so I'm just gonna do that really quickly. I hope you guys enjoyed all of what I had to say about these books. I really enjoyed filming this for you guys. I really enjoyed like compiling all my thoughts, because it feels like the first time I've properly done that on this channel, which feels crazy given the fact that I've posted like before. But I really hope you guys enjoyed listening to what I read this month. If you guys have read them, let me know what you thought of them. If you haven't, I hope, you know, if any of these get added to your list because I talked about them, I don't know, let me know. Bye guys!